Financing is the F word everybody loves to hate, but it is
Mhm.
the most important tool in your toolbox.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fitz and Franson Show. I'm Fitz.
And I'm Franson. And today we have royalty in the building.
That's right. We're joined by the one and only Jen Hatcher, the queen of financing. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I am elated to be here.
Yeah. And this is great, Jen, to have you on. Fitz and you go way back, but this is my first time connecting with you. But we do share a lot of mutual clients, I would say. So you and Justin, your guys' names definitely come up in my circle as well. So being connected to One in Fund, which is now One Click. On that platform, we're talking to our dealers about what you guys are doing as far as changing how contractors sell, estimate, and fund projects. So for those who don't know yet, why don't you give them a quick overview of what you guys are doing?
For sure. Thank you. So, One Click Contractor last year merged with One in Fund. I am one of the co founders of One in Fund, which I co founded with my husband, Justin Hatcher, who was Brian Gottlieb's finance manager at Tunderland. Everybody gets excited when they hear that. So, I'm throwing that out there. And then we had a third partner we co founded it with, and we co founded One in Fund with the pure intention of building something different. And we wanted to build a platform that solved for the pain points while your reps are sitting in the home at the kitchen table. And there wasn't anything that existed. So that was our pure mission when we went into building One in Fund. We worked really, really hard at it. I couldn't be prouder of our proprietary patent pending platform and the multitude of lenders on there and how we continue to strive and deliver data points and sales support that nobody else can offer. So One Click Contractor partnered with One in Fund, and today we call it One Look Financing.
It's an awesome platform, and it's been a cool journey to watch for you guys. I've been there from early on with Jen and Justin, and what you guys have been able to build has been a lot of fun to watch. There's no doubt. So, Jen, we'll maybe dive in kind of quickly to the, I guess, X's and O's of what you guys do and what you look at. So, looking at, I guess, what we'll call the 600-pound gorilla that's kind of growing in the industry, or at least in the corner of the room of the industry right now. You see across the industry at the moment, material costs are going up for everybody, and leads are getting more expensive, and contractors are continually dealing with that price objection, bug that we all have. And maybe homeowners a little more skittish than ever at the moment, right?
Yes.
How do you guys help or, suggest they navigate those sales conversations and kind of that environment?
Ooh, okay. I love this, and I could spend an hour on it. So I'm going to try real hard to shorten it up. First and foremost, don't be scared of it. Financing is the F word everybody loves to hate, but it is the most important tool in your toolbox. As consumers, we are programmed to expect payments. Right now, if you go on Amazon and you spend more than $45, you're going to get a little option to break it up into equal payments. So early and often, don't run away from the financing word, run into it, because the reality is consumers are not only expecting it, they are looking for it. So if you aren't mentioning payment options or flexibility on your website, you're missing those leads that aren't even calling you because they're looking for that. When you're setting up the appointments and you're doing the price conditioning, it doesn't have to be gross. It can be really simple. It can be something as simple as our customers pay with cash, credit card, check, and we offer flexible payment options. And just leave it at that and drop the seed. The other thing I would say right away is a lot of people will still lead with like that big number. And that number, whatever the project amount is always more than Mr. and Mrs. Jones think it's going to be, even with your price conditioning. Offer it in a range or a ballpark. Something that's in a range of $200 to $300 a month sounds a lot more palatable than something that they're trying to figure out how to pay $26K for today. And I'm using completely arbitrary numbers there, but you get the example of what I'm saying.
Yeah, and this is really interesting. I run a marketing agency over here at Powerful, and I talk to a lot of dealers. And like Fitz mentioned earlier, costs are going up, cost of marketing is
Yes.
going up. I'm having conversations with dealers that are saying we feel like we have to apologize for our prices. And, working with Fitz is funny. He'll be like, oh, my blood is just boiling. I'm ready to lose it on some of these guys. And then, connecting with organizations like yours, that you guys are really preaching the opposite. Don't make apologies.
Do
So there's
not make
real,
apologies. Yeah, no,
yeah.
do not make apologies. Half of our partners or more need to raise their prices.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not less. It's making it easy and making it affordable. And Jay, I'm so sorry. Like I said, I'm so passionate about this. I probably will interrupt you more than once.
Yeah. No, I love it. Fitz and I are pretty monotone and sometimes kind of boring, so we appreciate the energy that's added to the show. But yeah, there's so much opportunity to lean into financing and with you, Fitz, and people speaking into the industry and telling them reframe the conversation. Do you see financing maybe kind of as the, I don't know, ultimate antidote to price objections?
It can be. Again, if it's done well. And I
Sure.
say it can be because sometimes people will use it to save the sale, right? You get all the
Mm,
way to the end.
sure.
And then again, Mr. and Mrs. Jones see that price tag and they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, this time of year we hear, I'm going to wait for my taxes or,
Yeah.
something along that nature. We need to think about it. We need to talk here. We need to figure out, like, you start to hear all these objections that ultimately come back to money, but they don't necessarily
Mhm.
say money. So it
Okay.
can be the antidote. And Fitz is absolutely gold star, A plus in this. I have no problem making him blush and embarrassing him because best practice in the industry for financing is that north of 70% of your jobs are finance. And
Yeah.
the big companies that do it really, really well and are growing exponentially year over year, they're like 85% finance. So you
Wow.
really just have to embed it in your
Mhm.
sales process and make it normal. And again, Fitz is absolutely amazing at that. We saw the transformation that happened in the organization he was leading the sales on when
Mhm.
that happened. And as passionate as I am about it, Fitz has done it with his sales team.
So, it one of the things that I've gotten from my customers when I bring up financing to them is they're afraid because a lot of them are misinformed on it. That a lot of them will come back to me and say, "Well, this is going to eat away at my margins, so I don't want to do it." So what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying this is a way to maybe protect the margins.
It's not only a way, so two things. Number one, you need to build the cost of financing into your margins. If you do not know how to do that, call us and our
Mhm.
team will take you through it. We go through this a lot, right? So it's a cost of doing business, much like marketing, much
Yeah.
like, equipment and whatever else. It's a cost of doing business. You need to build it into your margins so that you're not scared of it. Number one.
Mhm.
Number two, yes, it can protect your margins because here's the thing. Those leads that are getting more and more expensive, your goal is to capture as many of them as possible. And making it easy to buy, aka leveraging one look financing,
Mhm.
helps you capture more leads and capture more sales from that money you're already sinking in. So it actually can protect your margins versus eat into it. It's all about setting it up and again, making it part of your sales process.
I couldn't agree more, and I appreciate the kind words, obviously, but it's about becoming more efficient and helping
Yes.
a homeowner here. And I think that at the end of the day is one of the biggest things that contractors and those that maybe don't understand this need to understand. Jay, probably all too well. You hear me talk about this probably too often at this point, which is why the eye roll happens pretty significantly, Jen, from
Yeah.
from Jay at this
Yeah.
point. But I think that there's really a critical shift in thinking for those that maybe don't buy into this that needs to happen. Too many people, I think, do see this as something that will hurt margins, or unfortunately, we hear it all the time. Well, my customers don't need it. I'm in a better financial area, or what have you. Like the thing that's parked in front of the house that you walk past, pay for with payments, right? Kind of thing.
Yes.
You're walking into something that they make payments on, right? So all of those things, right? All of us are geared towards these, and the idea that it's going to hurt your margins is really just a kind of a false sense of reality that you're putting in your own way, right? And it should really be the exact opposite. This is an opportunity to make you much more efficient on something that's pretty expensive already. It took you a lot of money to get to that house in the first place, and you want to make sure you're capturing as much of that as you can. There's no doubt. So
Absolutely. That is one of my favorite head trash things to like knock down and stomp on and roll over several times because it's great you live in a lovely affluent area, but to your point, that luxury vehicle in the car, the boat that's parked out back, all of those things, the house you're walking up to, 99% of customers are not paying cash for all of that. They are
Yeah.
smart with their money. And so they're using financing to their benefit to make it all work. And so, oh, yeah, now my blood is boiling.
all
Excellent.
right,
Head
well
trash. Oh,
let's let's go back and maybe step back. We'll talk about something a little fun and get the
yeah,
boil down a little bit for you here, and maybe talk about the start for you and
sure.
Justin. I think that's a big part of the show here for Jay and I. We like to celebrate that entrepreneur leap, so to speak. And I'm sure many of the listeners and those that are out there that tune in are probably interested to hear about what it took to take that leap, and probably doing that with your other half is another interesting element to that for sure. But before we go into that, though, you weren't always the quote unquote queen of financing. If my homework is accurate, Jen, you actually were in education for a little while. Is that
I sure was. So I graduated college with a teaching degree, thus my passion today for educating versus telling, if you will. But yeah, I was with Sylvan Learning Center for almost 9 years. And there is a connection to financing. So I want to share that. So I ran a couple centers here in Northeast Wisconsin. And one of my little centers in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, which is a very lovely blue collar community, I had one of the highest financing percentages in the entire country at that center. But I also, more importantly, had the longest tenure of families at that little center. So my center in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin had longer tenure than like flagship locations in New York City. And one of the things that we came to realize was it was because we used financing. So when you're sitting across with a parent who has a kid crying at the kitchen table doing their homework every night, and they're like, I can't I don't have the cash to give you X thousands of dollars for this program, but I can fit 40 or 60 or $100 a month into my budget. That's where I saw the power of financing and education and helping these families get what they needed and sometimes wanted, but mostly needed to have a better quality of life. And so even though it was education, I very much bring fast forward that and bring
yeah,
that to home improvement, right? Like these are
yeah,
projects they want and need for various reasons. It might be quality of life, it might be safety, or it might be to enhance the place where they spend all of their time. But how do we help them get there? We make it into payments. And so, yes, I started in education. I worked for a university. I worked for a couple fintechs. I was with a major bank here in the US for again almost 9 years. That seems to be my number of when I'm with an organization for a while. So I learned a lot. And one of my biggest frustrations was in terms of dealers, the dealers who needed the best rates and needed support with how to do financing were the ones who didn't get it. It was after you were financing 10 million plus a year that you got extra resources and you got the best rates. And that was so backwards to me. And so when we founded One in Fund and the company Justin and I had even before that, that was kind of the birth seed of One in Fund. That was something that was my focus coming from the finance and fintech world. And then Justin was an installer when he was a wee young lad and he was in sales. And we already mentioned, he was finance manager for Brian Gottlieb. So he came from it, from all of the pain points of what's being lived in home improvement world every day that the no offense to lenders and other fintech companies that are building it from a tech standpoint, like they don't get it. And
Yeah.
so that was really how we came to be.
That's
Man,
pretty cool.
and yeah, that's such a shared vision or passion that Powerful has too. We have gotten to partner with brand new companies a bunch of times, and it's I do coaching also, and so I've done
Yes.
business coaching and stuff like that. And you get a fresh dealer in that's an open book and ready to learn, and you're like, hey, let me come alongside you and let's figure
Yes.
this stuff out together instead of watching them struggle from the sideline and being like, oh, you're not big enough to be worth my time. That just that bugs me. And watching some of these dealers go from owner operator doing the installs and the sales to celebrating their first salesperson hire or their first install crew hire and being a part of that along the way. And yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So, a question
Right.
for you. I don't have any backstory on this. So, kind of the
I'm
research
short
we
on words.
did.
I'm sure I won't have an answer.
You worked at a company called Synchrony. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Yep.
And you got to maybe create some like gamified training systems. What did you
Yes.
learn there about human behavior and motivation?
I love this. Thank you, Jay. Okay, so yes, I was with Synchrony Financial for again almost 9 years. So I was actually hired by GE Capital. And my first day on the job, I found out that in 18 months we were rebranding to this new company called Synchrony Financial. And they hired me to run the learning center, which was all of the training material, not only for home improvement, but like for sewing and fitness and power sports. And it was a huge role already, but to find out that I was basically wiping the catalog and starting over was really, really exciting. So
Wow.
here's one of the things that I learned through that adventure and why I created literally the first gamified learning experience in financing. And it's trademarked and all the things. I'm really proud of it and I fought for it. Here's what I learned. You have to meet people where they are, right? So in
Mhm.
a retail environment, which is Synchrony's strong suit, you have associates who are in a retail environment. They have downtime between customers. They can go on the computer and take a course or whatever. But that's not how it works in home improvement. You have
Mhm.
reps who are in the car going from job to job and, well, appointment to appointment, right? And they may have downtime. They may be sitting in your Quick Trip or Wawa parking lot because they have
Mhm.
45 minutes to kill. They've got their coffee, right? Like this is what happens.
Yep.
And so we needed something that was mobile first. So that was the first thing I pushed on so hard was we need things that are mobile first because people aren't sitting in front of computers.
Yeah.
Also, people don't understand the why. Why as a home improvement rep do I care about financing? You care about
Mhm.
financing because you are commission based and when you close more sales, your wife is happier. Again, I
Yeah.
used to be this wife when Justin was in sales and it was a slow month and or a slow couple months because it's the frozen 90 and like you know where I'm going there is going to get real tight. Like that is stressful on
Uh-huh.
families, right?
Oh,
It's
yep.
real stressful. And so how do we help people understand why financing is important and you don't need to be scared of it? And how do we
Mhm.
meet them where they are? So that's really where I pushed mobile first and where I pushed real hard to create the first gamified learning experience, which was it was called Synchrony Sling, and we slung gold coins, and I had so much fun building it. The next one I was building when I left was a carnival game that was super cool. You went into all different tents and got prizes, but it was like Angry Birds. You got to fling these gold coins and you got to learn about why financing mattered and, things that are important, like fair lending. You have to offer the
Mhm.
same things to every person.
Yeah.
I was, I loved that.
Yeah. That
That's
sounds
awesome.
fun.
Yeah, Jay, I think, I know Jen and the rest of the team over there at One Click really, really well. And I think it's truly what I think sets them apart is that, at their core, they are educators, right? And they are educators who have lived it and have walked it and talked it and done it. So they know how to teach, they know how to educate, and then they also know the environment in which you need to be educated in the tools and resources and how's best to do that education. And I think what's really cool is that when you're working with them, you're working with like one of those teachers that you kind of look back on from your childhood that you remember fondly, that they were
Mhm.
truly invested in your success, right? And that one more job, like Jen's talking about, that mattered to your family coming home, that kind of thing. That's what matters to them, right? Is how do they get the rep one more job? Like they are invested in the company that they work with, but there are people on their teams, and I know, so, I'm going to shout out Bill, who's a good friend of mine that works with them.
I'm holding my tongue because I want to give Bill a shout out too. Bill's like the sales manager whisperer. He is so amazing. We love Bill. Shout out,
Bill's
Bill.
Yeah, Bill's a great guy. But Bill's going to get on the phone with one of your sales reps, right, and talk them through something at a certain point in time, right? And it's because Bill is a sales manager, but also a sales rep at heart, right? Like that's the
Yes.
type of people that they are. And again, he likes talking it and walking it, and he did it himself, so he's been there, he's done that, and he's invested in that success. And that one more deal matters to him the way it mattered to that guy in the field that day too. So again, like I said, you guys were all born in that home remodeling world. And I think that that's what makes you guys unique for sure. So let's actually, if we could maybe dive a little bit more into that, talk about that Tunderland connection, because most people in our world are definitely familiar with that Tunderland story, but maybe they're not aware of like that total connection. I know you've dove into that here a little bit. How do you think, I guess, that perspective directly, I guess, shapes or shaped or shapes the direction or the decision making you guys have with One Click?
Ooh, I love that. Okay, so first and foremost, Brian Gottlieb, if you have never had a chance to see him or hear him, go YouTube something, like search him. He is absolutely an incredible human being, and he finds joy in pouring education and energy into those. He will answer the phone almost 24 hours a day, much like Justin. I think they both need to work on their boundaries, but we'll set that over here. But genuinely an amazing human being. So Brian is not only a friend, but he has been a mentor throughout this entire process. When Justin had this vision of One and Fund, the first person he called was Brian Gottlieb, and Brian sold Tundraland. So there is a very direct connection there. But also, yeah, we probably should call out, obviously, Justin was Brian's finance manager through COVID. So when Justin joined Tundraland, they were doing about 25 mil a year. And again, Justin has a unique background that he has finance in his background, but he also has the sales and rep experience in his background. And so he worked very, very, very closely with the sales managers and with the sales team. And together through COVID and everything else, when Brian sold, they were, I think, about 125 mil a year. So that was a really big growth trajectory that they worked on together. Well, as it turns out, Joseph Moran, who's our chief revenue officer leading our sales team, came over to One and Fun because he saw the vision, and he is one of our OGs on the team. I literally trust Joe with my children. If I needed to go away, we're good. Like I trust him with One and Fun
For the
as my
record, is
baby.
for the record, is Joe available to watch kids? Because
Yeah.
I have a
He is
7 year
not
old.
available to watch kids. We've got him really, really busy
Okay,
here at
okay.
One Click. But the point is that I trust him to do so. And then, and then we also got Bill Moran, and we also got Jesse Mack, who ran the call center. And so we do have deep Tundraland roots within our own company because, again, we want to be that partner that really understands what you are going through as a dealer. And I
Mhm.
think it also helped us with our culture. So Tundraland has Tundra Fam, which is such a beautiful, deep culture of supporting each other. And like we can disagree, and that's okay, but we're going to find a path forward together. And so I think it really helped build our early team that way as well. So Tundraland is deeply woven within our culture one way or another.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And I like that you just talked about this is me being a coach, and the bigger win there, it sounds like, was the culture that you learned at Tundraland and then you brought with you to your organization. And it sounds like you were even like way ahead of the game because you got to bring the right people and put them on in the right spots on your bus right away.
Yes. Something else that we did early, which you may talk about with some of your partners, Jay, is when we founded One in Fund, we started using EOS instantaneously. And
Mhm.
I was at a previous organization where everybody was rowing in different directions. Department heads couldn't agree. What's the priority? Like, it was minutia, right? Like it was just mud, tires spinning in the mud. Like we weren't moving anywhere. But when we brought EOS in, it really aligned everybody. And so when we founded One in Fund, I was very insistent, as I can be, with Justin and Rob that we need to implement this right away because we have aggressive plans and we
Yeah.
need everybody rowing in the same direction. So
Mhm.
I do believe that helped us as an organization get really good footing and be able to continue good culture and all of those pieces.
Yeah, the systems that come underneath the great people and support them is so
Yes.
important. I always laugh when I talk to dealers before we onboard them, and I'm like, "Cool, what CRM do you use?" And they're like, "Sorry,
What?
CRM?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh no, this is going
Okay,
to be a
we're
longer
starting
conversation.
here.
Meet them where they're at, like you said."
Aw, meet them where
And you're
they're
like,
at.
"Okay, yeah,
Yep.
let's talk. Do you have Google Sheets? Great. That at
Right.
least you have Google Sheets. Let's go from there." I've been around Fitz long enough, and so let's see if he's actually a good trainer or not, right?
Oop.
If it says he's taught me, Jen, One Look is a multi-lender platform, which is a huge differentiator, maybe. Is that right? I'm curious now.
That is right. Part of what we do different is that we do again, we built a proprietary patent pending process. But what we do different is we do a single soft pull up front
Okay.
and then we will send that app to the lender that in your lender stacks that is most likely to approve it. So you don't have that experience where a rep is like, "Oh, can I get your social again?" Or they see the
Mhm.
decline and then they're scrambling. Your rep is sweating. Mr. and Mrs. Jones are now like, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe we should wait on this." They're feeling embarrassed. We avoid all of that. So yes, it is a single soft pull application, which for your sales team and training, Fitz will, well, I already know Fitz loves this, but it's one process. So on the back
Mhm.
end, you can trade out lenders when you need to, because sometimes lenders do lender things and you
Mhm.
need to trade out like who's in that first look position or whatever, or you're running a promo on a special program. I know Mark specifically called me and he's like, I need this killer rate on this killer program and we made it happen. Right.
Mhm.
So it's your process never changes. You don't have to pull your team out of the field to do a training every single time you need to change a lender or change a program. We can do it on the back end really, really seamlessly. So it's that single process and single dashboard is everything like functional and
Yeah.
foundational to the One Look platform. And then the data
That's
we can
great.
give you is insane because we are not a lender, but we have all of your lender data from however many lenders you're using in one spot. And
Mm.
it's pretty incredible from a marketing perspective how we can heat map what leads are selling really well and what
Mhm.
aren't. And we can tell really, really quickly when like a lead egg source isn't providing good leads. And so we've been able to help our dealers in so many ways beyond simply offering financing. It is the sales training, it is helping with marketing efforts. Our goal is really to help the whole org as much as possible.
We actually had a chance to, when we had Bill on a couple months back now, and
Yeah.
we talked about that Bill was actually able to use the data to help us identify we had taken a dip in our organization and close rate, and I was doing the normal disconnected boss thing where I was just getting angry and yelling at everybody, and Bill told me to chill out. I have something for you, and pointed out that it may be something going on in our marketing. And we found out that it turned out we had brought on a lead aggregator that had targeted certain areas of our demographic that were giving us a higher level of declines that we were not used to. So our guys were actually doing what they were supposed to be doing. They were
Yep.
pushing payments to get people affordable options. And we found that we just needed to redirect our marketing in a different direction. It was a really, really cool use of the data. And then from the perspective of the training, you're spot on. The idea that I don't have to train people 4 or 5 different platforms and then how to navigate this awkward conversation it's a big, big deal. And for those people that maybe underestimate that as a selling point in and of itself, it's a huge deal for sure. So, and
Right.
Jay, for the record, I'm a great trader. Okay. And some students are just better than others. Okay. All right.
I'll let you guys
Uh,
have that combo offline.
There,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, Jen, let's see if I got my data here right. So if I'm selling you short, you can correct me on this, but contractors who are using one click, they see, if I'm getting it right, 11%, I think, is the higher take rate, meaning that 11% more contractors or contractors are being signed by customers, and they are signing up for loans that were approved for even their second look option. So that's somebody that maybe got
Or
declined on the
possibly
first
even
one
third. Yeah.
or third. Okay, awesome. And then even better than that, though, they're getting, I think it's roughly a 15% increase in their average order amount. Is that right?
Yes. So those are broad numbers, right?
Okay.
But we had somebody third party look, and we had partners who were running apps direct with lenders, and part of the sales team running apps through the one look portal, and that's exactly what we saw. So take rate is something that people don't talk about enough. So I'm going to pontificate on that one a hot minute,
Please.
because we talk a lot about approval rate. Approval rate, approval rate. And there are lenders out there who'll be like, we have an 85% approval rate. Well, but do you? Because approval rate may include partial approvals. If you're asking for 3K and they offer you 7, they're still counting that as an approval, but that's not
Mhm.
necessarily getting your job done.
Mhm.
So is that really an approval? So we take a different approach on it, and we really look at take rate. And take rate means not only what was approved, but what was actually signed. Take rate equals jobs on your books. And so that I'm so glad you called that out, Fitz, because that's something we do talk a lot about is take rate. And we do see 11% higher take rate on platform versus off. So, I mean, out of 11 leads, who doesn't want to close one more? Everybody does. It pays
Mhm.
for the platform. And then this is a broad stroke, but on average, we're seeing higher ticket sizes of about 15%. Now, some partners who aren't using financing a ton, that number is much, much higher. It's like 35%, because it's like we've unlocked the gates and the angels are singing, and with payments they can sell another room, or they can sell another surface, or they can give the premium products that they weren't getting people to sign up for before. So it's really, really exciting to watch those numbers with partners.
I know it's been huge for some of the dealers in the Pentech network in Rochester, right down the road there from Jay, the group there that really bought into it. I think Jay, they went up, what was it, almost $1,000 on their average ticket. I think the NSLI went up about $600 for them, and they were, I mean, next to nothing on finance utilization when they first got introduced to it. And this is a world where, in the Pentech world, where, well, financing is, it's a want product. It's not a need product. It's just not something people are going to give us a social security number to run their credit score for, right? And
Right.
it's incredible to see, oh, well, what else could you do for an extra $20 a month or $50 a month or whatever it might be, and how much easier it is to get that across the finish line. And it's an interesting point that you bring up, right? Because I mean, I've been in the home as a sales rep myself, right? And you get that approval, and you go, oh, great, I got approval. And then you look down at the screen and you go, for half of the amount,
Like,
right? And
now you're scrambling, right? Like,
now you're, yeah, yeah. And and I think that is, so that, I mean, that was my next question, is kind of looking at it and saying, okay, if we're looking at the power of the platform, is it based in showing multiple options here? Is that where we're seeing that take rate jumping up, is being the fact that I'm not having to have that awkward conversation. I'm being able to show, hey, great news, I was able to get you approved for the full amount. Maybe it's a different program. How does that conversation, or how are you guys coaching them to have that conversation?
yeah. So, and again, Bill would answer this much better than me, because I'm not talking about this day in and day out. So, shame on me if I don't say what Bill would say. But we really coach and work towards talking about the payment range
Hmm.
versus the exact program, right? So, a long time ago, when financing was shiny and new in home improvement, which was a really long time ago, it was very common to be like, oh, we're going to sign you up for this 999 or this 599 or whatever. And people would lead with the program. And the reason that is a problem, and if you're doing it today, stop it, call me. Again, we'll have a conversation on this. The reason you need to stop it is you have no idea what that customer's credit profile is. We don't know what they are eligible for. So we soften the conversation and we look at, let's see what options you're available for. We talk about that. Are they more interested in a low payment or in a specific rate? Like again, we can't promise anything, but we can curate the conversation and help them see what they're eligible for in a non-gross way.
I think if I can share a quick story. So I
Please.
think where my belief in this as a really powerful tool started was my days at Renewal by Anderson. We had a second look team. So you're in a home, you get a decline. Our process was to go through, get the paperwork filled out, and the team would go to work on trying to find a second option for this homeowner. And we were having a hard time convincing our sales team that payments were the right thing. Stop selling the 0%. Payments was the better option. And I went to our apartment and I asked, like, hey, how are you guys able to do this? And they're like, we don't do it. They just buy it. I went, what do you mean? Listen to some of the calls. So I sat down and I listened to calls with our head of finance, and I listened to probably 15, 20 calls in a row. And out of the 15 to 20, almost all of them went something to this effect where they go, hey, great news. We're able to get you approved. The payment is X, right? And they would go
Yes.
through almost the entire phone call, and the homeowner would say, oh, by the way, what is the program? Right? Or some variation of that. And again, not that we weren't going to tell them, we have to tell them exactly
Right.
what the program is, but it was almost the complete last thought the homeowner had, what the term was, what the interest rate was, what any of these things were. All they cared about, can I afford this payment? And they
Yes.
were so grateful for the fact that they could get their windows done with a high quality window from a good company who's going to take good care of their home at a very affordable monthly payment for themselves. And
Yes.
I, again, listen to so many of these calls where these people were grateful that they didn't care if it was a million years that they were going to pay for it, just so long as it wasn't going to mess up their monthly budget. And right there, I was like, all right, enough said. I don't need to hear my guys complain about this anymore, that like
Right.
these homeowners don't want, 15-year payments or whatever. Like they didn't care.
No. It's about making it work in the budget, making it affordable and making it easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I heard,
100%.
for the record, I have probably heard Justin Hatcher on hundreds of those calls.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Hundreds of those calls through the years.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Awesome.
Cool. Well, Jen, I'd love to hear your take on something.
Okay.
Customers say, my customers don't ask for financing. How do you respond to that when somebody tells you that?
Yeah, they sure don't because they don't know that you offer it. So, like, it's almost ludicrous to put that responsibility on the homeowner that they have to ask you how they're going to pay for the project that you're helping them with. They've invited you into their home, right? The average homeowner researches 3 to 4 companies before they even call a company. So they saw something that they like about your company, something differentiated. It's the value, it's that you're from the hometown, it's the product, it's whatever it is. They invited you into their home. So they want you there. If they have to ask you for payments, you are not making it easy to buy. And I don't know if you fully deserve that sale if you're not making it easy to buy. That's a little harsh. And I know it's not, but like teacher Jen's coming out, right?
Yeah.
Like as I said, you need to have it. And I love when they give me the mic on the big stage and I get to talk about this. But literally, if you're not mentioning payments on your website, you are already missing out on people looking for what companies they are interested in working with. So it has to be on your website. It has to be in that intro call. You don't have to like financing. You don't even have to be comfortable with financing, but you do need to offer the same payment options to every single homeowner you interact with. And like I said, as consumers, we are programmed to be comfortable with payments. It's on Amazon, it's at your vet, it's how you're probably paying for your cell phone. There's very few
Mhm.
people today who pay full cash for everything out of pocket. It used to
Yeah.
be more of a norm. It is not the norm we live in today. And when we start, I'll set this aside in a second, but when we start to talk about generational norms, a lot of
Mhm.
the millennial home buyers who are buying into homes who need to do the projects because it's not the home that they necessarily wanted, but it's the home they can afford. They are
Mhm.
absolutely looking for those payments and they are not going to hand you a cash payment. It does happen, but it's very rare. So it kind of goes along with that head trash or BS in a less thoughtful term that people say of like my homeowners all pay cash. They don't want financing. They don't need financing. No, you as an organization do not have a system and a process that you are offering it to where they even know that that's an easy option for them to buy.
Well said. Well said. I'll add in here for you to the thing that we talk about with our clients that we work on and adding this to their game because it helps them create better efficiencies. I truly believe too that most people want to fit in and they believe that everybody else is writing a check for this. So they don't want to feel abnormal. And
Yep.
when we don't bring it up early in the process, like you mentioned earlier in our conversation here, then we've not normalized it as a normal path to affordability. And
Right.
by bringing it up early and often and letting them know it is an option, you give them the freedom to make a choice that makes it more comfortable for them to move forward with you. And if you don't, then you force them to tell you that they are an outlier that can't afford your product and your project. They're not going to do that, right? So you've forced them to tell you no, and
Right.
that's a tough place to be. So
That is a
you know,
tough place to be. One of the other things that we found, and I'm sure you have both experienced this, is sometimes reps are uncomfortable with talking about financing because they haven't used it a lot themselves yet in their lives and or they are uncomfortable with the price of what they're selling. They would never personally pay that. And so the fact that like we're talking about payments with it and I wouldn't pay that, like that again, that head trash
mhm.
definitely does come out, but you don't necessarily get that on first swipe, right? There's a lot of coaching and a lot of one-on-ones that typically uncover that, but that happens too is people haven't used it a lot in their lives yet or they don't see how they use it, that truck payment, that's a payment. It's helping them connect the dots.
Use a phrase my old man used to use for us growing up. Toughen up, buttercup, right? You just got to get over it and talk about it, right? Because that's the only way
Right.
to get
Right.
comfortable with it. So, all right, let's shift gears here a little bit and
Sure.
maybe talk about something outside of the world of finance. You're a host on a podcast,
Sure
the
am.
Conscious Creator Community, and
Yes.
it's about neuroscience and mindset, personal growth. Some of Jay and I's favorite things to talk about as well. How does
Yeah.
that? How does that inner work connect to your success as an entrepreneur and a leader?
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. So mindset is everything, right? And we do all have our own limitations and blockages that we either choose to ignore or we choose to work through. We often talk about on the Conscious Creator how healing and mindset are like layers of an onion, right? Like you don't open up the book one day and you read page 1 and now you're done and you're expert at it. Like mindset is a lot like that. It's a practice. It takes
Mhm.
effort. And so the Conscious Creator Community podcast, I actually co-host with Brianna Hetherington, who is an exceptional coach and consultant also in the industry. And Kat Gottlieb, who is Brian Gottlieb's wife and used to be involved in the early stages of Tunderland. So even though we're not talking about home improvement, it's kind of funny that we all have deep, deep roots in home improvement. And we release weekly episodes on it. And we came together on this because I was at a conference for women a couple years ago, and it was so incredible to see this group of women come together and rise each other up and dive into the topics that people don't necessarily talk about every day. And I called Brianna at like 6 a.m. in the morning from where I was, and I was like, "We have to do something for women in home improvement." And so we eventually did start something for women in home improvement. And we have a mastermind group called Win Now Network. And it's only for women in home improvement at this point. I'm sorry, guys. It would be amazing, but you are not invited at this time. So we did do that, but we saw a broader need as we started recording these episodes of what we're talking about mindset and neuroscience and growth and healing. It's not just for people that are in a specific area. It is for all genders. It is
Mhm.
absolutely for people in any stage of life. And so the conscious creator community was born, and the podcasts are as therapeutic for me in doing the research and making them as I hope they are for the people that we want to share some of the raw, gritty stuff that, again, it's important to talk about, but we don't necessarily talk about it every day. Yeah.
Yeah, huge fan of this stuff. I agree. I was just meeting with someone earlier today about this, and we were going over how thoughts come before feelings. They
Yeah.
were dealing with an issue, and I said, "Well, tell me the thoughts," because they were like, "I'm so frustrated today. Tell me the thoughts."
Yeah.
And then the question that always stumps people is, "Well, what if you had a different thought?" What do you mean a different thought? Yeah. Well, reframe it. Give me a different thought. And then they're like, "Oh, I have a different emotion tied to that. Let's reframe it." So I love this stuff. I'm such a fan. So for business owners out there listening who feel like they're probably perpetually running on a hamster wheel, what's one practice or mind shift from your own personal development that's maybe had the biggest impact on you?
Yeah, I hated this at first. Let me preface this statement with that, because if it's not evident, I'm a slight A type personality. I will run through walls. I will get it done. Like I am a powerful, powerful being. So it came to me in a dream, actually. And one of our partners at an RBA was saying this to me in a dream, which was so weird. And it was, again, so annoying, but it was important. And I got the message. I heard the lesson, and it was, you need to slow down to speed up. And since I
Mm.
had that dream a couple years ago, I see how that plays over and over. So sometimes, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we are going a million miles an hour. There is always more to get done than we can possibly get done in a day. We're burning the candle at both ends. We are trying to serve all of these audiences, including our families and including ourselves. And typically, ourselves take the last back
Yep.
seat that there is, right? And it can lead to burnout. And sometimes we're trying to do so much at once that we're not being strategic. And so the phrase, you need to slow down to speed up, is sometimes we need to take a step back, and we need to
Yep.
not do so many things at once so that we can do the things that we are doing better.
Yeah.
And for you A type personalities, I know you will also hate hearing that, but I can tell you from living it, I've seen how that plays out. And so
Mhm.
sometimes we need to slow down to speed up. One way that that plays out in my life is I listen to my body a lot more. When you're
Mhm.
in your 20s and even up to probably your mid 30s, maybe late 30s, like, you can grind so hard.
Mhm.
But once you start to get past that stage, you can grind as hard, but you are going to feel it a lot more. And so now I will carve out quiet time for myself where I don't have to talk to anybody and I don't have to
Mhm.
do anything, because I need that recharge time to be able to deliver better for everybody in my world.
I
I
love
love
that.
it. That's awesome stuff. Jay, for me, it was when I realized I had to start doing that when I started making the sounds when I was getting up and
Yeah.
down off of the couch, right? Like the old man, just I was like,
Yes.
Yeah.
where did that come from, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome advice, Jen. I like that one. That's a good one, and I think all of us in this world probably need to hear that pretty often. We end up
Mhm.
filling the plate up a little too much, and before we know it, it's overflowing for sure. Okay, so as we start to maybe wrap up today, some tactical stuff that we can provide the listeners here. So for those that are listening that might be struggling a little bit right now with those price objections or the nervous homeowners, what are maybe 2 to 3 practical steps that they could take or should be taking to integrate financing into their sales process?
Well, you said the first one right there. Do you have a sales process? Do you have financing as part of your sales process, right? Like, that's step 1 and 2. If you don't, I'm sure any of us here on the call would love to talk about that. The third part I would say is, if you're using any AI software, whether it be Rilla or Zero, or there's other ones out there. We're Switzerland. We play nice with everybody. Do you have any KPIs on offering financing? Is that any of your triggers that you're looking for or listening for in those sales conversations? So I think those are three really like low hanging fruit things. Number one, we need a sales process. Number two, we need to have financing as part of our sales process. And number three, we need to measure KPIs against it so that, again, we can get efficiency and consistency across the team. Normalize financing. That's my biggest takeaway. If you are not working with multiple lenders, or you are working with multiple lenders and you're dealing with the multiple logins and multiple processes and things like that, you need to talk to One Look. Period. That's not me being a prideful mommy of this amazing thing that we built. It's me saying, here's a solution. Your competition is likely using a better solution than you. So call the solution and make your life easier. And then the last one is, I mentioned it before, but it so often gets missed. So I'm going to say it again. Fair lending states that we offer the same options to every single homeowner. So if you offer payments or affordability, Fitz used the phrase path to affordability. We talk a lot about that. You need to be consistent. If you offer it to one, you have to offer it to all, and get out of your own head that they don't want it or they don't need it. Just get out of
Yeah.
your own way.
That's good. That's really good. So, what does it mean then what does it look like to partner with you guys beyond the software? You've talked a lot about coaching and support. So, what does that actually look like for a contractor who signs up?
Yeah, and I think that's something that's unique to us as well. I know lenders want to be supportive, but again, they're coming from a different viewpoint. So I don't know what level of coaching or real support can be offered. So couple things. I know Bill has sales manager like calls and that people can join if they're available. So we do that. Obviously, your account manager, whether it would be Bill or anybody else on our team, will work with you and dissect, if you so choose, what is your sales process and where can we fit into your sales process. Our goal isn't to change your whole life and make you do all these new things as software companies often want you to do. We want to fit into what you have happening and make it, again, easy. This is all about easy. And this is also something unique I need to mention. We offer live chat support, which is an us thing. One Look has real live humans that we pay to be online while you are in the home. So I think we have hours even on like a Friday night all the way to 11 o'clock Central. So if you're West Coast and you're in the home, it might be 10 p.m. Don't quote me. This is why I'm not in the weeds anymore, but it's really late. So if you're in the home at 8 o'clock at night and you're in California, you have somebody you can live chat if you have questions, or you get stuck on an application, or you need a different lender run who isn't like in your normal stack. And so it's very normal. You're just on your iPad doing your things like you would be doing, and you're getting support. You don't have to go outside and call your manager and ask for this or wait for that. And so again, we take out that clunkiness. So the support you get is all the way through, from the onboarding team to your account manager to the live chat support. We want to truly lock arms and be a partner with you. Did I answer your question, Jay? I'm not
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is a great answer to set a lot of new contractors thinking about it, set their mind at ease. Cause most of them that I've talked to are like, oh, it's something else I have to learn. Right.
Right.
And
Right.
their lives are perpetual learning. So to say, no, we have an answer for that. I love it.
For sure.
No, it's funny because that chat feature in the good old days wasn't there originally, and I think it was actually developed because Bill, as we've talked about, and I, who were both on family vacations were dealing with one of my reps in the house, calling back and forth and working on a solution. So even though the chat was there, there's still that personal connection that was happening. But I think we both got an email on Monday. It was like, hey, we got a gift for both of you guys. We developed a chat feature while you were away. It was like, cool, thanks, guys. That was awesome. So
I mean,
good stuff.
if we could be like the movie Duplicity, if anybody remembers that, we could clone Bill 1,000 times. We absolutely would. But as it turns out,
Yeah.
we can't or won't. But we can use Bill's wisdom in
That's it.
ways that help everybody.
Now I just call him to annoy him for fun. So
Absolutely. That's way
that's
better.
it.
We like that more.
That's it. So what's next for One Click? What's the next big problem your guys are working to solve for contractors out there?
Okay, well, so as you know, One in Fund and One Click became one happy family last year. So the big new step is really helping with awareness that on the One Click in the One Click family, you can seamlessly do estimates via One Click and payments via One Look, and it can all be connected and all seamless and all in the same place. So, that tech stack doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to add all these new things. It can be really, really seamless. And so that's one big thing, of course, we're working on to simplify our world for our partners. Another thing that we're working on is we have some new reporting coming out. And as we know, data is everything, right? Like good data helps you run your business. So we're always working on getting better, deeper, stronger data that we can compliantly share and really help grow businesses that way. But I was helping Bill and Justin put together a presentation for a partner that they're at right now. And Bill was showing me some of the reporting I hadn't even seen yet. Like there's a rep rehash report, that you can look at. So you can look at, if you're a big brand, you can look at it by region or you can look at by branch, and you can even drill down to the rep level. So everybody cares about rehash, right? So I didn't even know we had that report available. And so that's something really, really cool that we're doing as well.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
exciting. Well, this has been incredible conversation. Thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your wisdom and your story with us.
Thank you for being patient with my very long Wisconsinite answers. But it's absolutely been a blast. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to chime in 1 minute here because Jen and the team have been really good to me over the years and good friends. And Jen's the best, and Justin and the rest of the team are the best over there. But I will say this for all the listeners and this is the truth. When you have a choice, I think when you have a choice of who to partner with in any aspect of your business, I think you generally have, I think, three things you have to consider, right? Whether it's you're partnering with somebody for marketing or sales or whatever it might be, you're going to consider what do they bring to the table. It's usually three things, right? It's a good product, a good company, or good people, right? And it's or those things. And in my experience, you usually have to find yourself compromising in at least one of those areas when you decide who it is you're going to partner with. In my humble opinion, One Click has all three of those and leaves no doubt of that personally. So if you haven't talked to them, you're missing out, right? So pick up the phone and give them a call.
Yeah, for sure. So on our next episode, we will be joined by another special guest, Jim Williams. He is the owner of the Galaxy Concrete Coatings. He's got 5 locations currently across the U.S., and you guys are going to want to tune in and hear his story.
That's right. Yeah, you won't want to miss that. Jim has a great team that he's built out there, and they've definitely built something pretty special out in the desert, and he'll be sharing some nuggets on how he's been able to build such a strong team in a short amount of time. Jen, any final words for the audience?
One final word, because you gave me the option. The one final word I have for this industry is, as you're growing, confidence and ego are two different things. So there is a lot of ego in home improvement. Lead with confidence. Confidence means you can do really, really wonderful things, but that you're always open to learning and growing. And ego says, I have all the answers. Don't be that person. So just stay curious, stay open, and be confident. Like, yes, you're amazing. Keep getting more amazing.
Well, Jen, thank you again for joining us. For the listeners, if you feel like you got something out of today's show, you know what to do. We say it at the end of every show. Ring the bell, like and subscribe, and share it with a colleague or a friend.
And if you didn't get something out of today's show, try listening again, maybe a little slower, take some notes this time, write it down. Right.
Yeah.
All
You can
right,
call
Jay.
me too and be like, I got nothing out of it. Why are you talking?
There you go. There you go. Send the emails to Jay. He'll read them all, I promise.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Jay, always a pleasure. Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me,
Yeah,
guys.
likewise.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Happy hunting, everybody.